Admiral Day Wan stood in the observation deck of the Luna Orbital Station, watching Earth rotate slowly beneath him. The blue planet looked peaceful from up here, almost fragile. He wished he could feel that peace, but today had been another day of humiliation at the Grand Assembly. 3 years had passed since humanity made first contact with the Galactic Dominion. 3 years since Earth learned it was not alone in the universe. The discovery should have been wonderful, but instead it became a source of constant shame. The aliens laughed at humans. They mocked Earth's technology. They treated humanity like children playing with toys. Day One remembered his presentation to the Dominion's military council just hours ago. He had proposed that Earth's fleet join the defense network. 23 capital ships and 64 support vessels ready to serve. The room had erupted in laughter. Fleet Marshal Torvex, the supreme commander of the Valorian military, had not even tried to hide his contempt. "Your ships use chemical rockets," Torvex had said, his 4 eyes gleaming with amusement. "You fire metal bullets. Your fastest vessels take weeks to cross distances we cover in hours. What could you possibly contribute to our defense?" The other alien commanders had nodded in agreement. Some had even applauded Torvex's words. Day One had stood there, his face burning with embarrassment, and said nothing. What could he say? Everything Torvex claimed was true. Human technology was primitive compared to the Dominion's quantum drives and plasma weapons. Earth's military might look impressive to humans, but to the galaxy it was laughable. The door behind him hissed open. Hana entered the observation deck, her diplomatic uniform still crisp despite the long day. She was Earth's chief diplomat, tasked with the impossible job of making the galaxy take humanity seriously. She looked as tired as Day One felt. "That went poorly," she said, joining him at the window. "That's an understatement," Day One replied. "Torvex suggested we should focus on farming and leave warfare to civilized species." Half the council thought that was hilarious, Hana sighed. "My meetings were no better." The trade representatives from the Kelson Consortium asked if Earth had anything to offer besides cultural curiosities. They compared us to a primitive tribe that stumbled into a modern city. Day One clenched his fists. "We're not primitive. Our scientists are brilliant. Our engineers are creative. Our people are brave. But none of that matters to them because our ships are slow." "It's not just the ships," Hana said quietly. "It's everything. Our weapons, our computers, our medicine. We're centuries behind them in every field. Maybe we should accept our place and stop trying to prove ourselves." "No." Day One's voice was firm. "I refuse to accept that. Humanity didn't come this far to be the galaxy's joke. There has to be something we can do better than them." Hana smiled sadly. "If there is, we haven't found it yet." Far below the Luna Station, in a secret facility buried beneath the Colorado mountains, Dr. Yunwoo was having a very different conversation. The underground laboratory was home to Project Blink, Earth's most classified research program. Only a handful of people knew it existed, and even fewer understood what it was trying to achieve. Hyunwoo stared at the massive device in the center of the lab. It looked like a metal ring, 30 meters in diameter, covered in complex machinery and glowing with soft blue light. This was the Blink Drive, humanity's desperate attempt to leapfrog alien technology. "The test results are stable," said Jiwon, his lead engineer. She was young but brilliant, one of the best minds in quantum mechanics. "The drive successfully teleported the probe 3,000 kilometers. No degradation, no errors. 3,000 kilometers is nothing," Hyunwoo replied. "We need to teleport ships across light years, not across Earth's backyard. And we need to do it reliably, not with a 40% failure rate." Tai Yang, the team's quantum physicist, adjusted his glasses nervously. "Sir, the mathematics are solid. Quantum entanglement allows for instantaneous transfer of matter across any distance. But the power requirements are enormous, and the slightest calculation error could scatter a ship's atoms across space." "I know the risks," Hyunwoo said, "but I also know what's at stake. The Dominion sees us as pets, not partners. If we ever want respect, we need something they don't have. The Blink Drive is our only chance." Jiwon pulled up a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red markers indicated the Dominion's territory, a vast network of 3,000 star systems. "The aliens use quantum drives. They're fast, but they still travel through space. Our approach is different. We don't travel through space at all, we fold it. In theory, we could cross the entire galaxy in an instant." "In theory," Tae Yang repeated nervously. "But we've only tested it on small probes. Scaling up to a ship, let alone a fleet, introduces thousands of new variables. Hyunwoo looked at his team. They were exhausted, working 18-hour days for months. But they believed in the project. They believed humanity could surprise the galaxy. "We'll figure it out," he said. "We have to." Back on the Luna station, Daewon received an urgent message on his communicator. He read it twice, not believing what he was seeing. Then he showed it to Hana. "Is this confirmed?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Yes, multiple sources." Daewon's face was grim. "The Krathian horde has invaded Dominion space. They've already conquered 4 systems along the rim. The Valorian fleets are scrambling to respond, but the Krathians are using hit-and-run tactics. They attack, destroy, and vanish before reinforcements arrive." Hana stared at the message. The Krathian horde was infamous across the galaxy. They were raiders and slavers, a brutal empire that valued strength above all else. They had been quiet for decades, building their forces. Now they were striking. "How many systems have fallen?" she asked. 4 confirmed, but intelligence suggests they're attacking 6 more simultaneously. The Dominion is in chaos. Torvex is demanding total mobilization, but even he admits the Valorian fleets are spread too thin. They can't redeploy fast enough. Hana's mind raced. This was a disaster for the Dominion, but it might also be an opportunity for Earth. If the mighty Valorians couldn't stop the Krathians, maybe they would finally be willing to accept help from humanity. "We need to contact Hyunwoo," she said suddenly. "Project Blink. If we could offer the Dominion instant teleportation." "The project isn't ready," Daewon interrupted. "It's experimental, unstable, dangerous. We've never teleported anything larger than a probe. But if we could make it work, even partially, it would change everything. The Dominion's biggest problem is speed. Their ships are fast, but not fast enough to counter the Krathians' tactics. If we could teleport reinforcements instantly." Daewon was quiet for a long moment. He understood what Hana was suggesting. It was risky, possibly suicidal, but it was also their chance to prove Earth's worth. "Contact Hyunwoo," he finally said. "Tell him to accelerate the testing schedule. And tell him we need results soon. The galaxy is burning and we're about to offer water to people who treated us like dirt. Let's hope they're thirsty enough to drink." Hana nodded and left to make the call. Daewon returned to the window, watching Earth turn below. Somewhere down there, in a hidden laboratory, humanity's future was being built. The galaxy had laughed at Earth long enough. It was time to show them what humans could do when pushed to the edge. The Krathian invasion was a tragedy, but for Earth it was also an opportunity. Admiral Daewon just hoped they could seize it before it was too late. 2 months after the first Krathian attack, 17 Dominion systems had fallen. The news got worse every day. Admiral Daewon watched the reports from his office on the Luna station, feeling helpless. Billions of people were being enslaved. Entire civilizations were being destroyed. And the mighty Valorian Empire seemed powerless to stop it. The Krathians were fighting smart. They knew exactly how the Dominion's quantum drives worked. Every ship using a quantum drive had to emerge from faster-than-light travel at specific points, predictable locations based on gravity wells and spatial mathematics. The Krathians simply waited at these emergent zones with ambush fleets. Dominion reinforcements jumped in and were destroyed before they could even raise their shields. Fleet Marshal Torvex called an emergency session of the Grand Assembly. Every member species sent representatives to Valoria Prime, the Dominion's capital world. The massive council chamber was filled with thousands of aliens, all arguing and panicking. Daewon attended via holographic projection, watching the chaos unfold. Torvex stood at the center podium, his proud demeanor finally cracked. "The situation is critical," he announced. "We have lost 17 systems in 2 months. Our fleets cannot regroup fast enough to mount an effective defense. The Krathians are advancing on 3 fronts simultaneously. At this rate, they will reach the core worlds within 6 months." The chamber erupted in shouting. Representatives demanded action, protection, evacuation. Some blamed Torvex for the failures. Others called for surrender. The Valorian Fleet Marshal tried to maintain order, but even his authority was weakening. Hana sat next to Daewon's hologram, watching carefully. She leaned close and whispered, "This is our moment. They're desperate. They'll listen now." "Are you sure?" Daewon asked. "They've rejected us at every turn. They had the luxury of arrogance before. Now they're losing. Pride doesn't matter when you're facing extinction." Hana stood up and activated her own holographic presence in the council chamber. Her image appeared among the thousands of other representatives, but she amplified her voice to be heard over the chaos. Members of the Grand Assembly, I speak for Earth. We have a proposal. The chamber slowly quieted. Thousands of alien eyes turned to look at the human diplomat. Torvex looked annoyed but gestured for her to continue. Earth has been developing experimental faster-than-light technology, Hana said clearly. Not quantum drives. Something different. Something that doesn't rely on predictable emergence points. We call it the blink drive. It allows instantaneous teleportation across vast distances. The chamber exploded in noise again, but this time it was excited chatter rather than panic. Several representatives shouted questions. Others looked skeptical. Torvex held up his hand for silence. Instantaneous teleportation is theoretically impossible, he said. The energy requirements alone would be greater than a star's output. You're speaking of fantasy, not science. We've already tested it successfully, Hana replied calmly. Small scale, yes, but the principle works. We can teleport a ship from one point to another, without traveling through the space between. No emergence points, no predictable patterns, complete surprise. Daewon transmitted technical data from Hyunwoo's research to the Council's database. Scientists across the chamber began reviewing the information on their personal displays. The murmuring grew louder. This is preliminary data, Torvex said, studying the information. You've only teleported small probes, and your failure rate is unacceptable. We're working to improve it, Hana said. But even in its current state, it's something the Krathians won't expect. They've adapted to counter quantum drives. They have no defense against teleportation. A representative from the Kelson Consortium stood up. Even if this technology works, what do you want in exchange? Earth doesn't offer charity, Hana smiled. We want respect. We want to be treated as equals, not as primitives. We're offering to commit our entire fleet to the Dominion's defense. In exchange, we want a voice in military strategy and full membership status. Torvex laughed, but it was a bitter sound. Your entire fleet is less than 100 ships. What difference could that make? Let us prove ourselves, Daewon said, his hologram standing beside Hana's. Give us one mission. One chance. If we fail, you lose nothing. If we succeed, you gain a new weapon against the Krathians. The chamber fell silent as representatives considered this. Finally, Torvex nodded slowly. Very well. There's a colony world called Partheon 3. The Krathians conquered it 2 weeks ago. The survivors are trapped on the surface, starving. We've been trying to send relief supplies, but every ship we send is destroyed by the Krathian blockade. The journey takes 5 days with quantum drives. If you can deliver supplies to Partheon 3, I'll believe your technology works. We'll have a ship there within hours, Daewon said confidently. Torvex's expression was skeptical but intrigued. I'll be watching, Admiral. Don't disappoint me. The holographic connection ended. Daewon immediately contacted Hyunwoo's facility in Colorado. We need to teleport a destroyer to Partheon III, he told the scientist. 3 sectors away. Can the blink drive handle it? Hyunwoo was silent for a long moment. That's 57 light years. We've never attempted anything close to that distance. The calculations alone will take hours. And with our current failure rate, I need a yes or no, Doctor. Can we do this? Ji-won appeared on the screen beside Hyunwoo. We can do it, Admiral. I'm confident in the math. But there's risk. If something goes wrong, the ship could be lost. I'll find a volunteer crew, Daewon said. Prepare the drive. 6 hours later, the destroyer Soul's Pride sat in Earth orbit, its blink drive installed and powered up. The ship's captain, a woman named Sora, checked her instruments one final time. Her crew of 80 volunteers knew the risks. They also knew what success would mean for Earth. Coordinates locked, Ji-won reported from the Colorado facility. Initiating fold sequence in 30 seconds. Sora gripped her command chair. Around her, the bridge crew worked silently, professional despite their fear. This was humanity's moment. They wouldn't waste it. 10 seconds, Ji-won counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fold initiated. Reality twisted around the Soul's Pride. The stars outside the viewport stretched and distorted. For 3 seconds, that felt like eternity. The ship existed everywhere and nowhere. Then, with a flash of blue light, it reappeared. Sora checked her navigation display and almost laughed. Position confirmed. We're in Partheon orbit. 57 light-years traveled in 3 seconds. Across the galaxy, Fleet Marshal Torvex received the confirmation from his monitoring stations. The impossible had happened. A human ship had appeared at Partheon III without crossing the space between. His tactical officers stared at their displays in disbelief. The Soul's Pride descended through Partheon's atmosphere and delivered its cargo of food, medicine, and water to the desperate survivors. Then, before the Krathian blockade fleet could react, the destroyer activated its blink drive again and vanished, returning to Earth instantly. The Grand Assembly reconvened within hours. This time when Hana spoke, everyone listened. "We've demonstrated the technology works," she said. "Now we're offering our full fleet. 23 capital ships, 64 support vessels, all equipped with blink drives. We can strike anywhere, anytime without warning. The Krathians won't see us coming." Torvex stood and faced Hana's hologram. For the first time, there was no mockery in his voice. "What are your terms?" "Earth commands its own forces. We choose our own battles, our own strategies. We're not subordinates. We're allies." Several representatives objected, but Torvex silenced them. "Agreed. Welcome to the war, Admiral Daewon. Try not to get your people killed too quickly." After the meeting ended, Daewon sat alone in his office. Hana found him staring at a star chart showing the Krathian advance. "We did it," she said. "They're taking us seriously now." "For now," Daewon replied. "But demonstrations and supply runs are easy. The real test comes when we face the Krathians in battle. If we fail, Earth becomes a laughingstock again. If we succeed, we change everything. So we won't fail," Hana said simply. Daewon smiled despite his concerns. "No, we won't. Contact all Earth fleet commanders. Tell them to prepare for combat operations. Get me a full intelligence report on Krathian fleet positions. We're going hunting." The Earth fleet gathered in the darkness beyond Neptune, far from prying eyes. Admiral Daewon stood on the bridge of his flagship, the carrier Incheon Dawn, and watched as the last ships arrived. 23 capital ships and 64 support vessels. Humanity's entire military strength in space. It looked small compared to the vast Dominion fleets. But every ship carried something no other fleet possessed. A blink drive. Captain Sora of the battleship Gwangju Thunder reported in over the communication channel. "All weapon systems checked and ready, Admiral." "My crew is prepared?" "Acknowledged," Daewon replied. Around the bridge, his officers worked quietly, their faces serious. They all knew what was coming. This would be Earth's first real battle against an alien enemy. Everything they had worked for, everything they had claimed, would be proven or destroyed in the next few hours. Lieutenant Min Seok, the tactical officer, pulled up the target information on the main display. "Intelligence confirms the Krathian warlord Gextor has consolidated his fleet at Meridian 4. 200 warships, including his flagship, Blood Reaper. They're using the conquered planet as a staging ground for their final push toward Valoria Prime." Daewon studied the holographic display. Meridian 4 was deep in occupied territory. 10 days' travel from the nearest Dominion forces using quantum drives. The Krathians believed themselves completely safe there. They had no reason to expect an attack. "How confident is intelligence in these numbers?" Daewon asked. "Very confident, sir. The Dominion has spy drones throughout the system. Gextor isn't even running full defensive patrols. His shields are down, weapons offline. They're resting." Hana's voice came through the communication system from Earth. "Admiral, the Grand Assembly has approved your mission plan. You have full authorization to proceed." "And Daewon?" "The entire planet is watching. Make us proud." "We will," Daewon promised. He switched to the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is the Admiral. In a few minutes, we're going to do something impossible. We're going to strike at the heart of the Krathian invasion force. They have 200 ships. We have 87. They outgun us. They outnumber us. But they don't know we're coming." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "The Dominion has laughed at Earth for 3 years. They've called us primitive, backward, weak. Today we show them what humans can do. Today we remind the galaxy that technology alone doesn't win wars. Courage wins wars. Intelligence wins wars. Surprise wins wars. And we're about to deliver the biggest surprise in galactic history." The crew of the Incheon Dawn cheered. Across the fleet, thousands of humans prepared for battle. Many of them were afraid. All of them were determined. Dr. Hyunwoo's face appeared on Daewon's personal screen. The scientist looked exhausted but excited. "Admiral, we've synchronized all the blink drives. Every ship will jump simultaneously to the exact coordinates. The margin for error is less than 1%. What are the risks?" Daewon asked quietly. Hyunwoo hesitated. Jumping this many ships at once across 6 sectors? We estimate a 28% chance of catastrophic failure. Some ships might not arrive. Others might arrive damaged. In the worst case, a ship could materialize inside a planet or another vessel. But most likely it works perfectly. The math is solid, Admiral, but space combat introduces chaos into any equation. Daewon nodded. Prepare to initiate the jump sequence on my command. He switched to the fleet channel again. All ships report readiness status. One by one, the commanders reported in. Every ship was ready. Every crew was at battle stations. Every blink drive was charged and synchronized. Captain Sora's voice was steady. Gwangju Thunder ready, sir. Though I'll admit the idea of teleporting directly into the middle of an enemy fleet is terrifying. That's what makes it brilliant, Daewon replied. They'll never expect it. Min-seok, confirm targeting priorities. The tactical officer highlighted several ships on the display. Primary targets are the command vessels and carriers. If we can destroy their leadership and launch capabilities in the first strike, the rest of the fleet will fall into chaos. Good. All ships, arm weapons. Load all tubes. Charge railguns. When we arrive, we fire immediately. No hesitation, no mercy. These are the same Krathians who enslaved billions. Remember that. Jiwon's voice came through from the engineering section. Blink drives at full power, Admiral. All ships reporting green status. We're ready to fold space on your order. Daewon took a deep breath. This was it. Everything humanity had worked for came down to this moment. He thought about Earth rotating peacefully far behind them. He thought about the billions of people who had been mocked and dismissed by the galaxy. He thought about the chance to prove Earth's worth. Fleet-wide jump in 30 seconds, he ordered. Navigation, confirm coordinates one final time. Coordinates confirmed, sir. Meridian 4, high orbit, directly above the Krathian fleet concentration. 20 seconds. The bridge crew gripped their stations. Several people whispered prayers. Min-seok crossed himself quietly. 10 seconds. All hands brace for spatial displacement. Daewon watched the countdown timer on his display. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Execute jump. All ships go now. Reality shattered. For 3 seconds, the Earth fleet existed in a space that wasn't space. Physics broke down. Time became meaningless. The ships were everywhere and nowhere, stretched across 6 sectors simultaneously. Every person aboard felt the wrongness of it, the fundamental violation of natural law. Then, with a thunderclap of displaced energy, 87 human warships materialized in orbit above Meridian 4. The Krathian fleet spread out below them like toys scattered on a floor. Gextor's flagship Blood Reaper sat at the center, massive and deadly but completely unprepared. Across the enemy formation, shields were down, weapons powered off, crews at rest stations. Daewon didn't waste a single second. All ships open fire! The human fleet unleashed hell. Railgun slugs, each weighing several tons and traveling at a significant fraction of light speed, tore through Krathian hulls like paper. Nuclear-tipped missiles streaked from launch tubes by the hundreds. Laser batteries carved glowing lines across enemy armor. The humans' first volley was devastating. A Krathian carrier exploded, its fusion reactors going critical. 3 destroyers lost power and tumbled from orbit. Gextor's flagship took multiple railgun hits along its spine, punching through the unpowered shields and demolishing entire sections. Chaos erupted in the Krathian fleet. Alarms shrieked across 200 ships. Crews scrambled to battle stations. Officers screamed contradictory orders. How had an enemy fleet appeared in their midst? Such technology was impossible. Warlord Gextor roared commands from the bridge of the Blood Reaper. All ships, raise shields. Power weapons. Find me those ships and destroy them. But the Krathians were slow to respond, confused and panicked. The human fleet pressed their advantage. Daewon coordinated the attack with cold precision. Second wave, fire. Focus on any ship trying to raise shields. Captain Sora's battleship squadron moved in tight formation, their overlapping point defense systems protecting each other from the Krathian counterattack that was starting to form. Her tactical officer, Min-seok, identified priority targets with brutal efficiency. Carrier group at coordinates 773, he reported. They're launching fighters. Target them, Sora ordered. Don't let those fighters get organized. The Gwangju Thunder's main railgun spoke, its massive slug crossing the distance in a fraction of a second and striking a Krathian carrier amidships. The ship broke in half, spilling atmosphere and debris, but the Krathians were not helpless. As their initial shock wore off, they began to fight back. Plasma cannons came online, firing superheated bolts of energy. Antimatter torpedoes launched from dozens of ships. The sky above Meridian Fur filled with fire and death. The destroyer Busan Valor took a direct plasma hit to its reactor section. The ship vaporized instantly, taking its crew of 300 with it. The frigate Ulsan Runner lost power and tumbled out of formation, its hull breached in a dozen places. "We're taking casualties," Minseok reported. "Estimate 5 ships damaged or destroyed." Daewon watched the battle unfold on his tactical display. The humans had achieved complete surprise and struck first, but now the Krathians' superior numbers were starting to tell. 200 ships against 87 even surprise ships was a brutal equation. "We need to end this quickly," he said, "before they can fully coordinate their defense." An idea formed in his mind. It was insane, possibly suicidal, but it might win the battle. He turned to Jiwon, who was monitoring the blink drive systems. "Can we jump again? Right now, mid-battle?" Jiwon's eyes widened. "Sir, the drive needs at least 30 minutes to recharge." And jumping in a combat zone with all this energy discharge and spatial distortion could tear the ship apart. "I didn't ask if it was safe. I asked if we can do it." Jiwon swallowed hard. "Yes, sir. But I strongly advise against it." Daewon smiled grimly. "Noted. Charge the blink drive. Plot a jump to coordinates directly behind the Blood Reaper." His executive officer stared at him. "Sir, that puts us inside the Krathian defensive sphere. We'll be surrounded, exactly, and we'll have a clear shot at their warlords' engines." Jiwon worked frantically at her console, rerouting power from non-essential systems to the blink drive. "Sir, this is dangerous. The drive isn't designed for rapid jumps. We could lose structural integrity." "Do it anyway," Daewon ordered. He opened a channel to the rest of the fleet. "All ships continue the assault. Target their command structure. The Incheon Dawn is about to do something crazy. Don't follow us." Captain Sora's voice came back immediately. "Admiral, what are you planning?" "Something that will either end this battle or end me. Sora, if this goes wrong, you're in command. Finish what we started." Before she could protest, Daewon closed the channel. On the main display, the Blood Reaper was visible through the chaos of the battle. The massive Krathian flagship was twice the size of any human vessel, bristling with weapons and armor. Even damaged, it was formidable. Gextor stood on its bridge, directing his fleet's counterattack. "Blink drive charged to 60%, Jiwon reported. That's all we can manage without a full recharge cycle." "It'll have to be enough." "Navigation, confirm jump coordinates. Put us 500 meters behind the Blood Reaper, directly in line with their engine section." The navigation officer's hands shook as he entered the coordinates. "Sir, at that range, if they detonate, we'll be caught in the blast. Then we better make sure they detonate away from us. Weapons, prepare a full alpha strike. Every missile, every railgun, everything we have. The moment we materialize, I want devastation." Minseok coordinated the weapon systems. "All batteries ready, sir. We'll have approximately 4 seconds before the Krathians realize we're behind them. 4 seconds is all we need. G1, initiate jump on my mark." The Incheon Dawn shuddered as power flowed into the blink drive. The ship's lights dimmed. Several consoles sparked. The strain on the vessel's systems was enormous. Around the bridge, crew members gripped their stations, preparing for what might be their final moments. Daewon watched the tactical display. The Blood Reaper was turning, trying to bring its main weapons to bear on Captain Sora's battleship squadron. Its engines glowed bright blue with full power. "Perfect. Mark. Execute jump now." Reality bent again, but this time it felt wrong. The ship screamed, metal groaning under impossible stress. Warning alarms blared across every deck. For a moment, Daewon thought they had failed, that the ship would tear itself apart. Then the Incheon Dawn reappeared 500 meters behind the Blood Reaper's engine section. At this range, the Krathian flagship filled their viewports like a metal mountain. They could see the details of its armor plating, the glowing exhaust ports, the vulnerable reactor feeds. "Fire everything," Daewon roared. The carrier's full arsenal unleashed at point-blank range. Dozens of missiles slammed into the Blood Reaper's engines. Railgun slugs punched through armor and deep into the ship's critical systems. Laser batteries carved glowing wounds across the hull. The attack lasted exactly 4 seconds, but those 4 seconds delivered more firepower than most battles saw in an hour. The Blood Reaper's engines exploded. The detonation traveled through the ship's power systems, triggering secondary explosions throughout the massive vessel. Gextor had just enough time to understand what had happened. To see the impossible human ship that had appeared from nowhere. Before his bridge erupted in flames, the Krathian flagship broke apart in a cascade of explosions. Debris and atmosphere vented into space. 3,000 Krathian warriors died in seconds, including their warlord. The Incheon Dawn pulled away from the expanding debris field, its own hull scorched and damaged but intact. Daewon let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "Damage report," he ordered. "Hull breaches on deck 7 and 9, Ji-Won reported. Blink drive is offline, will need extensive repairs. But we're alive, sir." Across the Krathian fleet, chaos turned to panic. Their warlord was dead. Their flagship was destroyed. And the human ships that had appeared from nowhere were still attacking. Dozens of Krathian vessels tried to flee, but they couldn't escape ships that could teleport. Captain Sora pressed the advantage mercilessly. Her battleship squadron hunted down fleeing Krathians, coordinating with the lighter human vessels to trap and destroy the enemy. Some Krathian ships surrendered, lowering their shields and ceasing fire. Others fought to the death, their crews choosing honor over survival. The battle lasted 2 more hours, but its outcome was decided the moment the Blood Reaper exploded. Without leadership, without hope, the Krathian invasion force collapsed. By the time the last shot was fired, 147 Krathian ships had been destroyed. 36 had surrendered. Only 17 had managed to escape into the outer system, but victory had come at a cost. Earth lost 9 ships and over 3,000 personnel. The destroyer Soul's Pride, the same ship that had proven the blink drive worked just weeks ago, was among the dead. Its captain, Sora's friend, had sacrificed herself to save 2 other vessels from a Krathian ambush. Daewon ordered the fleet to regroup in high orbit. Medical ships moved among the damaged vessels, evacuating wounded and providing emergency repairs. The carrier Incheon Dawn, scarred and battered, became the rallying point for the surviving ships. On the bridge, Daewon stood before the main display and initiated a fleet-wide broadcast. Every surviving crew member would see and hear him. "People of Earth's fleet," he began, his voice heavy with emotion. "Today we achieved something impossible. We struck at the heart of the Krathian invasion. We destroyed their warlord and shattered their fleet. The Dominion said we were primitive. They said we were weak. We proved them wrong." He paused, looking at the list of casualties on his personal display. 3,000 names, 3,000 people who would never see Earth again. But we paid a terrible price. We lost friends, comrades, shipmates. The Soul's Pride is gone. The Busan Valor is gone. 8 other ships are gone. 3,000 of our people gave their lives today. We honor them. We remember them. And we continue the fight they started. Across the fleet, crews stood at attention. Many had tears on their faces. All had pride in their eyes. The galaxy laughed at Earth, Daewon continued. They thought we were a joke. Today we became a legend. Let the word spread. Let every species in the Dominion know what happened here. Humans came to Meridian 4. Humans defeated an army that outnumbered them 2 to 1. Humans changed the course of this war. He straightened, his voice growing stronger. But we're not done. The Krathians still hold 15 systems. Billions of people still suffer under their rule. As long as we have ships that can fly and weapons that can fire, we'll keep fighting. For Earth, for the Dominion, for every innocent life threatened by tyranny. The broadcast ended. Daewon sagged slightly, the weight of command pressing down on him. Min-seok approached quietly. "Sir, we're receiving a communication from Valoria Prime. Fleet Marshal Torvex wishes to speak with you personally." Daewon nodded and accepted the call. Torvex's image appeared on the screen. The Valorian commander's expression was complicated, mixing respect with something that might have been envy. "Admiral Daewon," Torvex said formally, "I have reviewed the battle reports. What you accomplished today is without precedent. You struck a force more than twice your size and achieved total victory. The Grand Assembly is impressed. We did what was necessary," Daewon replied, "and we're prepared to do more. Where do you need us next?" Torvex was silent for a moment. "I owe you an apology, Admiral. I underestimated your species. I called you primitive. I was wrong. Humans may have slower ships and simpler weapons, but you have something many civilized species have lost. You have the courage to do the impossible." "Thank you, Marshal. Does this mean Earth will be treated as an equal partner now?" "It does. The Grand Assembly will formally recognize Earth's contribution at the next session. Your voice will be heard. Your strategies will be valued. You've earned that and more. After Torvik signed off, Hana's face appeared on the screen. She was smiling through tears. Day one, the entire planet is celebrating. You did it. You really did it. We did it, he corrected. Earth did it. Every person who worked on the blink drive, every diplomat who kept trying when the aliens laughed, every crew member who volunteered for this mission. This is humanity's victory. The news is spreading across the Dominion, Hana said. Every species is talking about the Battle of Meridian. Earth isn't a joke anymore. We're heroes. Day one looked out at his damaged fleet, at the ships bearing scars from the battle. We're not heroes. We're survivors. But maybe that's enough. The news of the impossible victory traveled faster than any quantum drive ship could fly. Within days, every inhabited world in the Galactic Dominion knew about the Battle of Meridian. The story spread through official military channels, diplomatic communications, and ordinary people sharing the tale in markets and homes across 3,000 systems. Earth, the primitive backwater that everyone mocked, had destroyed a Krathian invasion fleet. Humans, with their chemical rockets and metal bullets, had accomplished what the mighty Valorian military could not. The species that couldn't even match basic Dominion technology had changed. The course of the war, through pure innovation and courage, Admiral Dewan watched the reports from his temporary quarters on the Luna station. The Earth fleet had returned home for repairs and resupply. Every ship bore scars from the battle. The Incheon Dawn had a massive gash along its port side where Krathian plasma had nearly breached the reactor section. The Gwangju Thunder's armor was scorched black in dozens of places. But they had returned. They had survived. A formal ceremony was scheduled for later today. The Grand Assembly would officially recognize Earth as a full member of the Dominion, with Tier 1 strategic power status. It was the highest honor any species could receive, previously granted only to the Valorians themselves. Hana entered the room, dressed in her formal diplomatic uniform. The shuttle is ready. We leave for Valoria Prime in 30 minutes. Daewon nodded, adjusting his own uniform. The Admiral's stars on his collar felt heavier than usual. Have you heard the latest casualty counts from the Krathian advance? They've stopped advancing, Hana said with satisfaction. After Meridian, the Krathians pulled back to defensive positions. They're fortifying the systems they already hold, but they're not attacking anymore. You scared them, Daewon. Good. Fear keeps people honest. He looked at Hana seriously. But we can't stop now. Billions of people are still enslaved in those conquered systems. We need to liberate them, and we will. But today we accept the recognition we've earned. Earth deserves this moment. The shuttle ride to Valoria Prime took 6 hours, even using the quantum gates that connected major Dominion worlds. Daewon spent the time reviewing requests from other species. A dozen governments wanted to purchase blink drive technology. 15 more wanted defense treaties with Earth. The Kelsan Consortium, which had dismissed Earth as having nothing to offer, now offered extremely favorable trade agreements. Everyone wants to be our friend now, Daewon observed. That's how power works, Hana replied. Fear and respect are often the same thing. The galaxy feared the Krathians, so they respected their strength. Now they fear us, so they offer respect and friendship. I don't want Earth to be feared. I want us to be valued for who we are, not what we can destroy. Then we'll show them both, our strength in war and our values in peace. The shuttle docked at Valoria Prime's orbital platform. As Daewon and Hana disembarked, they were met by an honor guard of Valorian soldiers. The aliens snapped to attention and saluted, showing respect they never would have offered a year ago. Fleet Marshal Torvex himself waited to greet them. Admiral Diplomat Hana, welcome to Valoria Prime. The Grand Assembly eagerly awaits your arrival. They walked through the massive station together. Everywhere Daewon looked, he saw aliens watching them with curiosity and respect. Some pointed, others whispered. A few even bowed as they passed. You've become quite famous, Torvex observed. Songs are being written about the Battle of Meridian. Children across the Dominion play games pretending to be human warriors teleporting into battle. I hope they also remember the 3,000 humans who died earning that fame, Daewon said quietly. Torvex's expression became solemn. They will. Every species honors its warriors. Your dead will be remembered alongside the greatest heroes of the Dominion. The Grand Assembly Chamber was even more impressive than the holographic version Daewon had seen. The vast space could hold tens of thousands of beings. Today every seat was filled. Representatives from every member species had come to witness Earth's recognition. As Daiwan and Hana entered, the entire assembly rose. Thousands of aliens stood in respect, their various forms of applause creating a thunderous noise. Daiwan felt his throat tighten with emotion. These same beings had laughed at him just months ago. Now they honored him. The Dominion Chancellor, an ancient being called Kelvoth, gestured for silence. We gather today to acknowledge a debt that cannot be repaid. When the Krathian horde threatened our civilization, when our fleets could not stop their advance, a new voice offered aid. Earth, the youngest member of our alliance, stood forward when older species hesitated. The Chancellor's words echoed through the chamber. Admiral Daiwan and the Earth Defense Fleet achieved what we thought impossible. They struck at the heart of the enemy with courage and innovation. They proved that strength comes not from superior technology alone, but from the will to fight for what is right. Daiwan and Hana were called forward to the central podium. The Chancellor presented them with formal recognition crystals, devices that contained the official declaration of Earth's new status. By unanimous vote of the Grand Assembly, Kelvoth announced, Earth is hereby granted full membership in the Galactic Dominion with Tier 1 strategic power status. May your species prosper and your alliance with us endure for all time. The chamber erupted in applause again. Daiwan accepted the crystal, feeling its weight in his hand. This small device represented everything humanity had struggled to achieve: recognition, respect, equality. Hana stepped forward to speak. On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we accept this honor with humility and pride. We did not seek war. We did not desire conflict. But when tyranny threatened innocent lives, we could not stand aside. That is who humans are. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. Her words were broadcast across the entire Dominion. Billions of beings heard Earth's diplomats speak with confidence and moral clarity. We offer the blink drive technology to all member species, Hana continued. Not as a weapon to sell, but as a gift to share. Knowledge should unite us, not divide us. Together we can ensure the Krathians never threaten civilization again. That announcement caused a sensation. Several species had expected Earth to hoard the technology, to use it for political leverage. By offering to share it freely, Hana demonstrated that humanity sought partnership, not dominance. After the ceremony, Daiwan met privately with Fleet Marshal Torvex and several other military commanders. They discussed strategy for the continuing war against the Krathians. The Krathians still hold 15 systems, Torvex said, displaying a tactical map. They've fortified heavily after Meridian. Any assault will be costly, but necessary, Daiwan added. We can't leave billions of people enslaved. A Valorian general named Kexlar spoke up. With blink drive technology, we could strike multiple systems simultaneously. The Krathians wouldn't know where to concentrate their defenses. Exactly, Daiwan agreed. But we need time to install blink drives on Dominion vessels. My fleet alone isn't large enough for a campaign of that scale. How long? Torvex asked. Dr. Hyun-woo, who had traveled to Valoria Prime with the delegation, stepped forward. With full cooperation from Dominion engineers, we could retrofit your fleet in 6 months. But we'll need resources and manufacturing capacity. You'll have everything you need, Torvex promised. The Dominion's full industrial base is at your disposal. Over the next 6 months, Earth became the center of galactic attention. Dominion engineers worked alongside humans to mass-produce blink drives. Shipyards across dozens of worlds began retrofitting vessels with the new technology. Human advisors trained alien crews in teleportation tactics. Captain Sora was promoted to Commodore and given command of the new Second Fleet. Lieutenant Min Seok became her executive officer. Together they built a force specifically designed for rapid strike operations. Meanwhile, the Krathians learned to fear the ghost ships of Earth. Human vessels appeared without warning at the edges of occupied systems, struck military targets, and vanished before defenders could respond. Supply convoys disappeared. Garrison bases were destroyed. The Krathians, who had seemed unstoppable just months ago, now cowered in their fortresses. 1 year after the Battle of Meridian, the combined forces of the Dominion launched Operation Liberation. 200 ships equipped with blink drives struck all 15 occupied systems simultaneously. The Krathians, unable to coordinate their defense across such distances, were overwhelmed. The campaign lasted 3 weeks. System after system was freed. Billions of enslaved people were liberated. The Krathian horde, once feared across the galaxy, retreated to their home territories and sued for peace. Admiral Daewon stood on the bridge of the Incheon Dawn as the last Krathian stronghold surrendered. Around him, his crew cheered and embraced. They had done it. The war was over. Hana's face appeared on his screen, tears of joy streaming down her face. "It's over, Daewon. We won. Earth won. The Dominion won," Daewon corrected gently. "All of us together." But privately, he allowed himself to feel pride. Humanity had come so far. From being the galaxy's joke to being its savior. From begging for acceptance to earning respect through sacrifice and courage. 3 months later, Daewon retired from active service.